Hey everybody, my name is Riley Newton. I'm one of the youth pastors at the Orchard Tupelo, and we're really excited that you would join us for this daily devotion today. Today we're going to be talking about Hebrews 12 verses 1 through 13, and so I think we'll just go ahead and jump into it. Therefore, since we're surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up, and let us run with endurance the race that God has set before us. We do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. Because of the joy awaiting him, he endured the cross, disregarding its shame. Now he is seated in the place of honor beside God's throne. Think of all the hostility he endured from sinful people, and then you won't become weary and give up. After all, you've not given your lives in your struggle against sin. And have you forgotten the encouraging words God spoke to you as his children? He said, "My child, don't make the light of the Lord's discipline, and don't give up when he corrects you. For the Lord disciplines those he loves, and he punishes each one that he accepts as his child." As you endure this divine discipline, remember that God is treating you as his own children. Who ever heard of a child who is never disciplined by its father? If God doesn't discipline you as he does all of his children, it means that you're illegitimate and you're not really his children at all. And since we've respected our earthly fathers who disciplined us, shouldn't we submit even more to the discipline of the Father of our spirits and live forever? For our earthly fathers disciplined us for a few years, doing the best they knew how. But God's discipline is always good for us, so that we might share in his holiness. No discipline is enjoyable while it's happening, it's painful. But afterward, there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way. So take a new grip with your tired hands and strengthen your weak knees. Mark out a straight path for your feet so that those who are weak and lame will not fall, but become strong. And there's a couple reasons why I picked out this particular verse to talk about today. One is that we're all having to discipline ourselves in a way that we've never really disciplined ourselves before with all the stuff with the coronavirus going around. We're having to stay at home. We're having to make decisions that normally wouldn't be very difficult. And because of that, sometimes it feels a little weird. Sometimes staying in our own home, we feel locked up and we feel away, and it feels like the world is against us. And so I think a lot of times we feel the same way with God's discipline. A lot of times we want our lives to be easy, but what we read in this passage is that God wants us to experience his love, and sometimes that's a tough love. It's not always an easy love. After all, he loved Jesus very much, but Jesus died on the cross, bearing its scorn and shame, which we just read in this passage, for us, because he loves us so much. And the second thing that I want to talk about today is because of this discipline, we're in a different rhythm with our lives. And that's something that's really affected me personally, to be completely honest with you. I mean, I really look forward to having rhythm and structure in my life. I love getting to work at a certain time every day because it really sets the pace of my week. And meeting at home, watching church at home, doing OSM, student ministry stuff at home has been really good in a lot of ways, but it's also been really challenging for me personally because I don't have that structure that's given to me every single day. And so this past week, I talked about this a little bit in our OSM video. If you want to check that out on our Orchard Tupelo student ministry page. But we'll talk a little bit in detail right now. I've been challenging myself to do a daily office every single day. Wake up at a particular time and do my daily devotion with God. And I don't do this just because I feel like I have to, but because it's a discipline. It's something that I need to do in order to meet with God every single day. And I think so often whenever we fail to do this, like has been really, really tough for me in the beginning of this pandemic, and I'm having to learn how to force myself to do this without work, setting my schedule, is a lot of times I get in my own head and I question whether or not whether God's mad at me for not meeting with him every single day, whether or not God's disappointed in me for failing to meet with him on certain days of the week. And a lot of times it gets in my own head and gets me down. And this passage right here helps me remember that God isn't mad at me. He's not frustrated. He may be a little bit disappointed not because we're not doing the thing that he wants us to, but because he wants to spend time with us. And not only that, God encourages us through spending time with us. And I love what verses 12 and 13 say. This is really the heart of the passage for me. This is what was encouraging for me when I read it this week. That God tells, the writer of Hebrews says, to take a new grip with your tired hands and strengthen your weak knees. Mark out a straight path for your feet so that those who are weak and lame will not fall, but become strong. I think oftentimes during this pandemic, I found myself tired. I found myself questioning what I'm doing. I found myself wrestling with if what I'm doing has a difference or is making a difference or not. And this passage helped encourage me to know that the things that I'm doing are having a difference, that God is still moving, that the church is still alive. And it's encouraged me to strengthen myself, not on my own accord, not on my own power, because I'm unable to do that on my own, but to continue to discipline myself and seek the Lord every single day. And by doing that, when we set our feet on the right path and we start walking that path every single day, God continues to blow us away with how He moves and talks to us in our lives. So I hope that that's encouraging. I hope that I just want to be more transparent about what our lives look like in this pandemic, because we're seeing so many videos of people at their homes and it's so authentic, but still there's a part of us that wants to pretend like everything is okay. And sometimes it's okay that things are not okay. Because God promises that He'll give us the strength to help us take a new grip with our tired hands and strengthen our knees. And sometimes we just need to let Him do that. So don't be afraid to spend time with the Lord. Get into His Word, set a rhythm, and discipline yourself so that we can continue to do these things, so that we can continue to see God moving in our lives and the lives of those around us. So I hope that this has been encouraging to you. Check out our Spotify page if you want to listen to a playlist that has some positive, upbeat music. I know that helps me remember God's power in my life as well. And continue to subscribe and watch more of these daily devotions. I love you guys. I cannot wait to see you face to face in church again. It is going to be a wonderful day. I hope that y'all have a wonderful day. Peace.